I really wasn't going to say anything because every time this happens, it turns more into the fact that the individual shouldn't have been with the individual they were with. And obviously, if something tragic happens to someone and it's at the hands of the individual that they were with romantically, they obviously shouldn't have been together. I don't think it has so much to do with color a lot of times as it does with the fact that those two individuals just should have never been paired together. And for whatever reasons they were paired together, it doesn't even matter at this point because that person is no longer here. And this Ashlee Jenae thing has kind of caught fire in a different way because she's one of these individuals who has said disparaging things about black men. And I'm not sure if she ever said disparaging things about black women, but she said disparaging things about black men and basically, deeming black men as not worthy of her time. And, said that she was going to get her a white man and she's going to have mixed babies. And these types of individuals they're confused. I don't look at them as harmful or hurtful in any way to the black collective. They're just confused because when situations like this happen, the first thing that people want to say, well, yeah, they shouldn't have been with that. And then the next thing people are going to say, well, why are we coming to her defense? I'm not saying that anyone needs to come to anyone's defense, but I'm also saying nobody needs to throw shade on the fact that she was deleted. I don't believe it was a suicide. They're trying to say that she hung herself on a door, a la D'Angelo Barksdale in The Wire. He didn't hang himself either. And although I know that that was a TV show, probably one of the more realistic TV shows of all time, yeah, he didn't hang himself either. Okay? Did I say either and either in like 10 seconds? So I don't know exactly which one I like to use. I just use both of them, and I use them like that. So anyway, Ashlee Jenae is gone. Her family is devastated. Her friends are devastated. Her followers are devastated. But there's a collective of people who have thrown shade on her death, and saying that, yeah, we shouldn't be coming to her defense. I don't think it's about coming to her defense at this point. I think it's more about, being respectful of the dead, respect the dead. They say that, right? Respect the dead. I think it's about being respectful of the dead, and then understanding the confusion for people like this. I've known people that have seriously said, like, I would never date so-and-so. I would never date this race, or I would never date that race. And to me, that's always been crazy that you can predetermine that. I'll never date a white woman, or I'll, black women, I'll never date a white man, or, it's odd to me. Or, some will just say, I'll never date outside my race. I mean, I think the end goal for anybody should be to be happy. Be happy with the person that you're with. And I don't care what color they are. It doesn't matter what color they are. As long as you're good to each other, you're respectful to each other, and you take care of each other, you take care of your family. But some people get locked in on the fact that, yeah, you should only be with this type, you should only be with that type. And you have a preference. You absolutely have the right to have a preference, but to say you would never be with somebody because of what reason? And there may just be some fundamental reasons, that you don't want to date outside your race. And I totally understand that. Some fundamental beliefs. I totally understand. But you fall in love with who you fall in love with. And I don't think that's color specific. I absolutely believe that's spiritual specific, but I don't think it's color specific. You find happiness. You can't base your happiness on how light, how dark someone is. It's just not possible. You can try, but then, you know, you may end up in a situation where you're confused and you're wondering why this person who is the color that you desire can't make you as happy as you want to be or you think you should be. Now you've got a whole nother set of issues. And I don't know what led Ashlee Jenae to her conclusions about black men and the disparaging things that she said about black men. This has been years ago, I guess. I don't follow her, never, you know, really even knew who she was. I've just read up on some things and listened to some things since her passing. Had no idea who she was as an influencer, but it's so crazy about how all these Instagram and TikTok and just social media influencers are getting deleted. That's what's more alarming to me than anything. What is up with being a influencer and early death? Because there's something. Somebody has to say something. I mean, you've got too many influencers, people out here on social media that are meeting their deaths in their 20s, in their 30s, you know, and they're an influencer. They're someone who people follow in masses. Why are they meeting early deaths? I just want to know that. Like, why is that a situation? I believe Ashlee Jenae's, I don't know if it was her husband or her fiance, I believe he absolutely did what happened to her. I have no other reason to believe anything else. I mean, she was okay before y'all went to Tanzania. She was healthy. She was good. Nobody knew of any signs of trouble. And if she was going to take herself out, why would she go to Tanzania to do it? If she was just going to be like, you know what, I'm going to delete myself, she could have just did that. She could have found a doorknob anywhere, bruh. If that's what you're saying she hung herself on a doorknob, she could have found a doorknob anywhere in America. Why'd she need to go to Tanzania to find a doorknob? So that story's out the window, been out the window. It didn't even hit with me. When I first heard it, I was like, he's full of shit. And the first thing I thought of was D'Angelo Barksdale on The Wire. Because if D'Angelo Barksdale was going to hang himself, why didn't he hang himself in his cell? Why'd he wait to go to work that day and be stocking books and shit in the prison library and say, you know what? This fucking shit, I'm done with it. No more books, no more prison time, no more nothing. I'm going to do it right now. Because he didn't. Somebody else did him in and they just made it look like that. And that's what's happening right now with Ashlee Jenae. Try to tell people about that singer. What is it, singer? DV4V, David, whatever. Yeah, he's guilty as fuck. He's guilty, but it's such a peculiar situation. They're not going to out and out say he's guilty. They're going to build up enough evidence to figure it out. Now they've arrested him. Went back and forth with several people on social media. Oh, no, I think they're trying to pin the murder on him. No, I think they're trying to do it. I think they're trying to do it. I'm like, no, he's guilty. He's absolutely guilty. I'm going to go down Berkshire today. Went down Berkshire a couple days ago. It's a street that does have nearly as many potholes as Brockman. If anybody follows these videos close enough, you know I would go down these city streets in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And, you know, some streets have bad potholes. Brockman's one of the worst. One of the worst streets to have, and just a little short stint of it, just one of the worst, with $1 million homes in it. So you get all that money, get you a nice house, nice lawn, nice yard, everything, and then next thing you know, you've got Gratiot. You know, you've got Mound Road. Those are some of the worst roads that I've been on, you know, and it's just like that on Brockman. But not on Berkshire or Berkshire. So, Ashlee Jenae, gone. Another influencer, gone. Another black woman, gone. You know, and I'm really trying not to go so much on the black woman thing because it polarizes that she was with a white man. And I know that black men take a lot of heat for the things that they encounter with black women. How come white men aren't taking the heat from black women? I haven't heard black women go in on white men at all on this. Why is that? Why is that? Where are the black women that are going to say, leave our women alone, leave our women alone, stop messing with our women? Because y'all don't feel that way. Y'all don't feel that way. Y'all empathize for Ashley or even sympathize for Ashley, but you're not going to go with the helmet of these mayonnaise miscreants that are out here doing shit to women like Ashley or that look like Ashley. And why is that? Why is that? See, I'm not going to say anything disparaging about Ashley because she said something disparaging about black men, because like I said, people like that are troubled. They're troubled and they're confused. And anybody that says, I'm only going to be with this kind of person and only going to be with that kind of person, and they built up all these fucking crazy stats in their brain about those kind of people, they are fucked up. They're fucked up in the head. Excuse my language, but you know I use it. Now, what I do want to say is that as a black woman, somewhere, somehow, there was some hurt in her life from a black man. Somebody didn't take care of her. Did her father not take care of her? You know, was there a situation where she was not taken care of, she was not protected early on in her life? Because anybody that has a black man in their life, a black girl, a black boy that has that protection in their life, they generally don't turn against their own like that. You can find that scientific, I mean, that's a scientific fact. If there's a strong black man in a black child's life, you're generally not going to have, Jesus Christ. Oh, that must have been from the tornado. Whoa, that's crazy. Those cars were just totally smashed in. I bet you the trees fell on those cars from the tornado. Damn. I might try to come back by here and get a picture of that. Is that morbid? It's not morbid. It's not morbid because nobody died. It might be dark, but I'm dark. So yeah, I think Ashley experienced some hurt early in her life, and she experienced some things that made her feel the way she felt about black men, and said that she would never allow herself to be in a relationship with black men or go down that road. She would just preferred white men, and she wanted to have biracial babies. That's wild. I ain't never heard of nobody say, I want to have mixed babies. Well, actually I have. I've heard people say, you know, I want my babies to have, you know, nappy hair, and I want them to this, that, and the other. So they'll say, you know, they'll find somebody. Basically, they say they want to be with somebody white. But being black and being mixed, yeah, it does change the texture. I get it. But I've seen plenty of 100% black girls, American freemen, American black Americans, y'all want to say it, African American, have beautiful hair. Black hair is actually the best hair. Scientific fact. Scientific fact. Okay? Why would anybody say, I want to have this type of kid? Because they're being lazy, actually. They say they don't want to deal with nappy hair. Okay, well, your hair is nappy. You deal with your hair, but you don't want to deal with your hair? But it's probably a person that does a whole lot of processes and perms and shit like that to get their hair away from the natural texture. I mean, you know, black folks went through their stages of all this stuff, you know, and it's so beautiful to see people go with their natural hair, but everybody went through their phases of whatever the periods were, where it was conks, it was perms, it was jerry curls, it was whatever, you know. I don't think any of those styles were trying to be white. you know. But a lot of people, you know, you'll find your people be like, oh, you trying to wear your hair like white people. No, it's just a style. But, you know, there are people that, you know, try to make their hair less this and less that, you know, for whatever reason. Didn't mean to go down the hair salon road, but, you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, I did not know her reasoning. I never heard any backup of her saying, you know, she just said she wanted to have mixed babies, which, you know, that was her right to say. And unfortunately, she's never going to have any babies. You know, fortunately, she didn't leave behind any babies. It would have been terrible to give that animal a baby. That animal who deleted her, allegedly. Not that I really care that he hasn't been tried and convicted and sentenced. I believe he did it. So I have to put the allegedly in there so they don't say that I am citing misinformation. Because I don't know for sure, because he's not been proven guilty in a court of law. Well, he's been proven guilty in the court of public perception, at least my public. And I'm pretty damn public. I'm pretty damn public. So it is what it is. What you got going here, buddy? You stopping? You stopping? Okay, stopping. Okay, no problem. Crazy shit's happening. School's just about to end. Kids are moving in and out. You'll see cars pull up and then just open up their hatch. Nobody gets out, open up their hatch. Somebody throws some shit in, they'll close the hatch and keep it going. There's just all kinds of stuff happening. You just gotta be real cognizant when you're driving around here. I love driving through this town. And I love driving through a lot of college towns. They're always interesting to me. You know, just see how people move about. So. But yeah, man. Ashlee Jenae was a confused individual. An unfortunate, you know, situation. She met her demise at the hands of an individual who should probably never been in her presence, but she truly desired to be with. It's craziness to know that someone can have this ridiculous desire to be with an individual, just be with an individual, and that individual deletes them. I mean, what's up there? What's going on there when you have a sick, and I'm not saying that she was sick, but she had a sick desire to be with this man. And that man deletes her, allegedly. He allegedly deleted her. I should really start just doing relationship advice videos. maybe just relationship commentary. Because this is deep for me to know that somebody was in love. I mean, talking about love, honor, and obey. I think she was willing to do that for homeboy. And then look what he did. Allegedly. Ashlee Jenae, rest in peace. I don't have anything bad to say about her because I think in a way she was confused to the point where there's nothing that I could say that's going to be a clapback for her, you know. I don't need to cape for her, but I also don't need to disparage her. So, think how you think. I think the more alarming thing we need to look into, or maybe I'll do some stats on this, is about influencers being deleted before 40. 20s and 30-year-old influencers with millions of followers, subscribers, you know, hangers on. Why have they met their demise, or how have they met their demise? Is it the exposure that's doing it? Would they have met their demise had they not become influencers in life? Had they just had, you know, traditional lifestyles? Who knows? dig more into that, because this Ashlee Jenae thing is not something that I need to